Hello, everybody. I am so excited to introduce you to our presenters today, Haley and Michelle. They're two of our fearless leaders on digital strategy here at Converge. They spend their days collaborating with some of the best brands in education, like Northwestern, Santa Clara, Emory, Clemson, Butler, and more. They're bold thinkers who propel the new and next in education marketing. We're excited to have them joining us to lead today's presentation. Before they dive into the content, I have a couple of housekeeping items to run through. First off, we hope you'll share these insights and tips from the presentation on social media with the hashtag ConvergePresents. Our team will be following along to answer any of your questions, and we'll relay those to Haley and Michelle at the end of the webinar. As always, we're reserving 10 to 15 minutes for Q&A at the end of the presentation. We're also recording this session, and we'll be sharing that along with the slides in a follow-up email for your team. Last but not least, if you're really feeling dazed and digital, which I assume you might be since you're tuning into this presentation, you'll see several links in the slides throughout today's presentation that point to free resources on our website. We just launched a fresh look at convergeconsulting.org, and I encourage you to explore those articles and check out the new site and follow up to the webinar. This is only a 30-minute recap, but these posts will dive deeper into each update. Those are all the updates I have, so I'll let Haley and Michelle jump right in with 10 new and next ideas for digital advertising.
Thank you, Megan. All right, we will get started with Snapchat Self-Serve. I'm sure that a lot of you have heard that Snapchat recently launched a new platform that allows more people than ever to be able to reach and engage with their users on Snapchat. There are over 160 million users who open the app on average of 18+ times per day. So what are those students doing when they're on Snapchat? Recent research has shown that when students are using Snapchat during a college search, they're following the school, watching your stories, and viewing other students' snaps. So it's important to engage with them while they're taking place in these actions. In 2017, Snapchat has beat Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook for the social accounts that they're using the most daily. As Megan mentioned at the start of the presentation, we do have a great blog post out there that talks about the Snapchat self-serve and how colleges and universities can take advantage. Maybe you already knew this, but you don't know where to start. Snapchat wants you to get in now and get in early. When launching their self-serve platform, they released 4 ad types. The OG Snap ad. This is what you'll see when you're scrolling through your friends' stories. They're 3 to 10 second full screen vertical video ads. This is a great place to drive engagement. Another ad type is similar to lead generation ads that we'll talk about on LinkedIn in a few minutes. These are called web view, and they allow you to get instant info on your prospect by just a swipe up and a tap. Maybe your university has taken advantage of a new mobile app. This is another great way to drive installs and ensure that you're capturing those students who are following your stories. Finally, there's the long form video. Think about it. You can give them a great place to have an idea of what they should include in their essay, or even visualize your campus through a 2-minute tour.
Number 2, we have Instagram story ads. As of June, Facebook reported that there's over 250 million users using Instagram stories every day, and that's up from 200 million in April. So crazy growth over the last fall, or since launching last fall. And comparing that back to the previous slide with Snapchat, we're seeing 160 million. So you can see with this platform not even being around a year, there's increased usage and kind of surpassing Snapchat at this point. Recently, Instagram launched the story ads, where users can place ads, or advertisers can place ads throughout their Instagram stories. So how do you take advantage of this? Get creative and test. It's so new, it's only been around since March, and we're seeing brands try out new strategies all the time. We recommend using still imagery with writing overlaid, looking at leveraging different motion graphics, short videos and GIFs, and even using the live feature. Recently, they actually launched an update where you can actually target based on campaign objectives. You used to only be able to place ads as far as brand awareness, but that user can never take action. You can now develop ads based on wanting to get video views, conversions, traffic, and even app installs. And another recent update is you can now include a click-through link or even sync up to Facebook Messenger for that user to take a next step. If you want to get conversion focused, here are some best practices we've seen work well. Adding text and graphics and designs to your ad to really help them stand out. If you're using videos, really end with that solid screen, like this one you see here, where there's clear text, a user has a chance to read what you want them to do next, and then select a relevant call to action. You can essentially or add 2 calls to actions with the one that you'll select in the platform, and then also creating another call to action with the design.
All right, moving into LinkedIn. As previously mentioned, lead gen is a great new ad type to generate high quality leads through pre-filled forms. The way this works is this mobile-focused ad can pull in information from your student's LinkedIn profile. So we know that it's accurate info and that it's quality because they've already filled it out. It also makes it a lot easier on your prospect because they don't need to spend time typing in lots of information into a form on their mobile device. The great part about this ad is it can also integrate directly with your CRM. This is so important because the user is never actually leaving the app. All the information is being collected within LinkedIn, and so if they're not making it to a landing page, it's important to get those leads into your CRM as fast as possible. We have recently been testing these out with a variety of clients, and we've seen that they drive 2.3 times more conversions than when we're actually directing them to a landing page. Again, thinking about the ease on your prospect and making it as great of an experience as possible, not taking them out of the app and not making them type in all that info on a mobile device. So how do you do this? You want to find and engage those right fit students. So again, this is pulling in your sponsored content ads that you're likely already using, but on a mobile device, they see that, they click to learn more, and then they get sort of a mini landing page that you'll see in the center screenshot there. Again, it pulls in that info, they're subject to your privacy policy, and with one click, they are advised that this information has been sent to your university, and then from there, if they do so want more info, you can direct them to an on-site PDF to download or visit your site, drive them to admissions, any of those next actions that you see them taking.
Next on our list is LinkedIn matched audiences. LinkedIn has really stepped up their game these last few months with implementing retargeting options as well as list targeting. And for those of you who aren't using LinkedIn before or haven't used LinkedIn yet, it is a network of over 500 million professional network users, and we've seen this work really well for graduate and executive education programs. So how you can take advantage of this, similar to maybe what you're doing along with your social and display advertising, really looking to leverage retargeting segments based on website and landing page visitors. If someone's reading up on admissions information, let's target them with lower funnel messaging instead of maybe just specific program ads. You can also upload a custom list of email addresses. So looking at leveraging maybe GMAT list targeting as well as your prospective students to get that in front of them with next step messaging about applying. And then unique to LinkedIn, you can also target a list of employers. So you can upload a list of companies that you want to target or you think your ideal prospects might be. So something to definitely take a look at if you haven't dove into that yet in LinkedIn.
All right, number 5, looking at Gmail targeting. So I'm sure you're all familiar with Gmail at this point. This is the ad type that appears in the promotions tab on a personal Gmail account. And in the past, the targeting has involved scanning your emails for a subscriber list that you're on, emails you're receiving from companies, and things like that. They recently announced an update through their blog that they will no longer be targeting ads in this way. Rather, it will take into account all the activities across the G Suite of products. So think the videos you're watching on YouTube, previous searches ran, previous ads clicked on, things like that. So that being said, they've also recently launched this key transition point targeting or life decision targeting, where you're really reaching people at these key points in their life. So they're basing it off of the knowledge, again, using all of the information from the G Suite of products, that they're perhaps just about to graduate college or they've recently graduated college. Maybe they're about to move across the country or get married. So Great way to utilize this is just to work smarter with your demographic targeting. So again, this can be very important to those who are marketing MBA programs or master's programs to really have a good understanding that they're about to graduate college, so they're likely to be ready to take that next step in your program. The ads you're seeing here is another technique that at Converge we've seen work very well. So within the Gmail platform, when you're building a campaign, they do allow you to build one right in there where you're just uploading an image and pulling in the headline and some text. But what we've seen work really well are these pre-designed ads where you're really getting that full picture, and again, kind of a micro landing page here to get some information before they actually click.
Next, we have programmatic Spotify. Spotify now has over 100 million registered users and continues to be the top growing digital radio platform. On Spotify's website, they report that average users spend about 148 minutes, so a little over 2 hours per day on the platform, and they're listening at all times of the day. There used to be a huge barrier to entry to advertise on Spotify. You had to contact them, work directly with a rep, and spend upwards of $25,000 just to get in with ads on Spotify. But now it's recently become available on a lot of the programmatic display platforms like the Trade Desk and AppNexus. So if you're using those platforms, or if you're working with an agency where you're utilizing those platforms on their end, it's definitely something to look into. How you want to take kind of best next steps there is finding your audience and grabbing their attention. Like many other platforms, you can target users based on a lot of the basic demographics like age, gender, and geography. You can also leverage a lot of the first-party and third-party data that's available on a lot of the programmatic display platforms. Getting in front of an audience through list targeting and retargeting is always a great tactic for that next step messaging. Obviously unique to Spotify, you can target users based on the different genres and playlists they're listening to. And we've also seen a lot of advertisers using day parting, where they're playing ads at specific times of the day and are really capturing that time of the day in their messaging as well, which is really cool. We suggest creating a really engaging audio clip when it comes to Spotify, complemented with a supportive banner ad. So the key is to really maybe grab their attention relating to what they're listening to, and then creating a supportive banner for them to take action. These are some examples of some different tactics we've done as far as how we're targeting users. So looking at those back to school parents, they're probably listening to maybe some of that older music. Their demographics are obviously different, and we're targeting key university markets. With that back to school audience, maybe they're listening to the top hits, hip hop, rap, and their demographics are obviously skewed younger. We've also tested out some workout specific advertising, getting people kind of engaged with more of the athletics at a university. While there is no minimum with programmatic display, we would recommend considering dedicating at least maybe $5,000 to $10,000 as a starting point to get in to build some momentum there. But a great way to think about that is really shifting some of that traditional TV and radio over to test out Spotify.
All right, rolling right into Twitter video. So as we talk about Twitter video, we're talking about reaching 328 million users. So again, we keep really hitting these numbers because we want you guys to really think about how many people are using social platforms. Research has shown that people are visiting Twitter in more of a discovery mindset. So they're really going there to seek news. This is where a lot of people are finding out new information these days. It's also where they're going to find the latest trends. So again, they're releasing this new video type that they're calling Twitter InStream, and it's a great way to amplify your brand. We all know that video isn't necessarily going to be a huge lead driver, but it does generate that brand awareness and resonates with users. So the chart on the right there was what Twitter has shown from their ads. 194% of people have a greater ad recall when viewing a video ad versus those who are not exposed to that video ad. We also just talking about brand awareness. People are 50% more likely to have an awareness of your brand when they've watched a video ad. So all of those kinds of things just really point out that this release of in-stream video is so important. A lot of the movie trailers and longer commercials have also been on Twitter, so Twitter has released pre-roll or mid-roll ads. So how those work is it's just like on YouTube, where you go there to watch a video and then there's an ad ahead or an ad maybe in between videos that you're watching. So aligning these with videos that your students are already watching, similar to what Haley was mentioning with Spotify playlists. You can also utilize insights of your current followers to develop lookalike audiences. Twitter has a really strong demographic reporting feature where you can really, you don't even have to be running advertising to pull these demographic reports, but it just tells you about your followers. But you can utilize that information to develop lookalike audiences and really expand your footprint. So along with this and really using video on any channel, get to the point, 6 is the new 30. So this is really, recently discussed at Sundance, where YouTube really pushed people who are visiting there to tell their story in a lot shorter time frame. People these days need information more quickly than ever. So how can you really tell your story in 6 seconds? So some of the ideas there: telling a joke, evoke an emotion, really transform your brand. You don't want to rely on sound. Nobody likes autoplay when they're scrolling through social media at work. They want to just see your video and kind of get that info. Reaching for authenticity over quality. So again, as we talk about creating video, a lot of schools feel, they don't have the resources to really put into the funds or the time into creating videos, but really showing that authenticity these days is so much more important to students than seeing a high quality production. And then always assume you're being viewed on a mobile device. Again, we've talked about mobile a lot today, but always assume that that video is being viewed on mobile and kind of having that thought forward as you're creating.
Next up is Facebook Messenger ads. Facebook continues to make updates pretty regularly to their advertising objectives and where they're placing ads. Over the last year, they've done a ton of testing on figuring out how to leverage Messenger for advertising. We've seen ads where the call to action is send a message, where users can target users based on who they've messaged with before. And now the most recent update is actually placing ads within the Messenger platform. So over the last year, Facebook's done a lot more testing around this, and you're seeing these ads more and more over the last month or so. What's great about this is all the same target audience options are available that are available in the Facebook advertising platform. Just because it's on Messenger doesn't mean that we can't target that same audience. So we're able to target users based on a lot of those same demographics, by their education background, maybe a previous field of study, also their career background, the different industries or companies they might work at, and then any interest targeting, so looking at what they're engaging with on Facebook as well. Currently, it's only available through automatic placements, meaning you can't just create a campaign at this point and only target this placement. It's part of a bigger kind of overall strategy where you're targeting a lot of on the mobile news feed, the right-hand side, and this is an additional placement. I think depending on the results Facebook sees, I think that definitely is going to be an option to target a specific campaign this way, but something to keep in mind there. But what's great about this is you can direct users to a specific landing page from there, and we can also look to start a conversation by sending them to start a message with you. So key here is get personal, grab their attention. Obviously, when they're in this platform, it's a lot more personal. They're messaging their friends. So it's great. Here we have an example of NNU where we are targeting a specific audience of their prospective student list by uploading their email addresses, and we are messaging them with have questions about taking the next step, get connected with an admissions counselor, and the call to action is send a message. So a great way to get personal with this platform.
All right, so for the most part, we've been talking about updates to platforms, but the last couple of tips here that we have are a little bit more focused to the creative that you're producing and where you're directing them. So I'll start with the ad creative. So I know this is a topic that a lot of people think about. A lot of schools, again, talking about video, feel like they're short on imagery. Maybe they're sick of using stock photos. You really want to draw people in through storytelling. So I'll just play this again in case anybody missed it, but great way to really engage Facebook users and see something different and really make your brand stand out. So there's great free photo tools out there that allow you to add unique filters and motion to your images like you just saw. Using Facebook Canvas ads, you can add motion to the first image to draw people in and then continue telling that story as they scroll through. You can add over just some unique filters and things, but really the idea here is you don't need a lot of resources to create these. That there's some tools out there that can help you. And developing copy for individual personas, keeping in mind that all of your creative should be speaking to a unique person. You're not trying to reach everybody, you're trying to reach that specific individual that's the best fit for your program. So really speaking to their different motivations and addressing those challenges. And then also just recognizing that users are at different points in the journey. The tactic of messaging as well as the type of messaging on a specific channel can vary. So users at Facebook are certainly in a different mindset than those who go to LinkedIn or to Twitter. So we've really employed this a lot over the last year and just really seen a lot of engagement by, you know, with Winterline we're seeing here real skills for the real world. So that picture is very engaging, but it's also reminding users that they're finding skills while they're in this program and really makes them kind of stop. And then on the right, we've utilized this with SCU, pulling in a great testimonial quote alongside a representative from the Team USA Olympic Committee. And so just really, again, using your testimonials and what sets you apart from other programs and making it a lot more obvious instead of just relying on an image alone.
And number 10, landing page exit overlays, also sometimes called convertibles. And while these aren't anything specifically new and next, the percentage of advertisers now using these has certainly grown a lot, making it kind of a new and next thing because it's rare that we don't see these on landing pages these days. Basically, an exit overlay is essentially a pop-up that is triggered by some type of engagement on your website or a landing page. It could be the time they spend on page, if they're scrolling, or even if they're about to exit the page. It's a way to really grab their attention based on that engagement and get them to take that next step fast. And with testing, we've seen conversion rates increase by upwards of 30% by just re-engaging those users. The goal here is to really create incentives that entice and engage your audience. E-commerce and service industries do a really good job of leveraging this strategy to promote discounts or coupons, but how higher ed can take advantage of that is really leveraging those program brochures and creating downloadable content that your target audience would be interested in. So as they read that landing page, maybe they haven't taken that next step. If they're about to leave, let's capture their attention really quick with some type of incentive for them to take that next step and connect with your program or school. We've really seen promoting urgency work really well, so letting them know about upcoming deadlines or maybe an upcoming event. Showcasing proof points with testimonials and stats on outcomes, and then reinforcing maybe what sets your program apart. We suggest testing out just various copies, seeing what's going to work the best, but then also testing out various triggers. So again, looking at, do we want to trigger it based on how long someone's on a page, if they're scrolling, if they're about to leave the page, maybe when they just get to the page to get them to take that next step quick. We suggest testing that because we've seen different strategies work better for different clients as well.
Well, guys, that's 10 new and next ideas for you in a little under 30 minutes. We have a couple of wrap-up items, and then we'll launch into the Q&A. We did have a couple of questions for Haley and Michelle come through as they were given the presentation. So this first resource that you'll see is 10 new and next ideas to amplify is the digital advertising ROI benchmark. We definitely recommend checking this out. We'll send this in follow-up to the presentation via email directly to your inbox. This ebook walks through how to calculate and apply a metric called break-even cost per lead. This is our benchmark for determining if your campaigns are yielding a positive return. One other reminder, and then we'll launch into the Q&A, is to visit our Eventbrite page for our digital storytelling workshop coming up this October. Great content really does start with good strategy. As we've learned today, there's always things evolving in the world of digital. And if you're struggling to align your program's unique story with the broader institutional objectives, this workshop is designed for you. Our team will be in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania on Thursday, October 26th. There'll be more information on costs and details on the schedule once you visit the Eventbrite page. And that's a wrap. We've got a couple of questions. So before I let Haley and Michelle go, one question that came through is, what's the age demographic for Spotify? I know we walked through a couple of scenarios, but have you guys seen who the main users are and who would be best to reach there?
Yeah, I think we're seeing mostly that 25 to 34 demographic based on some trends that we've seen from Spotify. They're not super clear about usage on their website. You might have saw in our slides that the data was from 2015, but that's actually what they have on their website. So I think trends have maybe changed where that's skewing younger. There's just not a ton of data out there, but from what we're seeing through the programmatic sense of engagement, there is that 25 to 34 crowd.
Thanks, Haley. Another question that came through, and this might be good for Michelle. I don't have a team that can create these ads and run campaigns. How can I keep up with my competitors?
Great question. So you can always work with an agency like Converge, and we would be more than happy to help create a great strategy as well as execute on campaigns. But when you're trying to dip your toes in the water, we definitely always recommend starting with a social network and just picking one that you feel that your students are most engaged with. So go ahead and feel free to get started with Facebook. Choose one of these ad types that you feel is really exciting and get started there.
Thanks, Michelle. And another question, this is actually a great one. How do we identify who our true target audience is?
Yeah.
It's a little high level there.
High level. Wow. This is actually really part of our process when we are onboarding new clients. We do like to do a really deep discovery process. So we want to look at things like the demographics on your previous students, knowing who's been successful in the program, who's maybe engaged after the program to identify what is the ideal target audience. We also want to look at your website traffic. There's a lot of things that we can look at in Google Analytics to determine who's spending the most time on your page, to determine who's the most engaged when it comes to a lot of the demographics. And then we also just like to kind of pick your guys' our clients' brains on who is the admissions team talking to that seems the most engaged and most the right fit for the program. But I think the most important thing is looking at who ends up being successful in the program, who ends up taking away the most and making kind of the most impact afterwards. So a lot of different things that you can be doing, both data-driven and just kind of insights as well.
Got it. What mix do you typically recommend for graduate versus undergraduate recruitment when it comes to social?
I think it really depends on your enrollment and where that's sitting at, but I think we were just on a university campus where the undergrad does make up about 90% of their target audience, and there's a lot of brand awareness that comes with the undergrad marketing as well. So you're going to be spending a lot more budget there, but graduate programs are much more competitive when it comes to advertising, I think, as well. If you don't have that brand recognition, then you want to be out there a little bit more. But I would say probably 70-30, just depending on how many programs we're kind of focused on enrollment. But it'll really depend on kind of where your enrollment numbers or goals are as well.
That's great. 2 more questions and then we'll be all done. So someone asked, what if you don't have the resources to execute video, but you want to? Do you guys have any quick solutions to offer them?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of tools out there. Michelle went over 2 that could be helpful for doing video as well. We actually did a webinar last month with our rep from Google and our brand strategist on our team where we talked specifically about this. A lot of it's kind of piecing together video. Facebook recommends a tool. We were just on a call with our Facebook rep yesterday, and then there's a YouTube app kind of director where you can upload different clips based on different themes and templates they have available and create a pretty good video easily on your own. So there's a lot of different resources. We can definitely let's maybe follow up in our email with some links to what we've found successful for clients who kind of struggle to do that on their end.
And one final question. How important is segmentation when it comes to your advertising messaging? And then do you recommend to think about your themes by channel, or do you recommend consistency in all of your messaging?
That is a great question. I'll start with the first part. So as far as how important is the segmentation when it comes to that, I would say it really just depends as you're going through your persona building process of how different you find those personas. I'm working with a graduate program that has a range of people who are going straight from their undergrad and really career-minded, all the way to people who might enroll in this program just to fulfill a passion project. So we spent some time really segmenting their messaging by 3 different themes in those personas, and doing some testing on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. And what we were finding is that through that testing, our suspicions were confirmed, so to speak, with the data by seeing that the messaging that was targeted at kind of that 5th-year undergrad, those going straight to school, were performing more strongly on Instagram and Twitter, whereas those that might be looking for a career change or to fulfill a passion project are kind of that older, trending older on Facebook and LinkedIn. So I think that kind of answers the second question as well, in terms of how you want to think about the channel, and also just what we talked about a little bit during the slides of, people are going to maybe Twitter in a discovery mindset. They might be more open to exploring something, whereas when you're on LinkedIn, you're typically pretty focused on a goal. You've probably gone there to share a post or to see what a company or university has posted. So I think certainly focusing on what channel as well as what member of your audience you're looking to speak to.
That's fantastic, Michelle. Thanks. Great words of wisdom to close out today's presentation. If you guys have more questions, make sure you reply to the follow-up email we'll send out within the next 24 hours with the recording and slides, or you can tweet us at ConvergeOrg with the hashtag #ConvergePresents, and we'll reply. Thanks so much for joining us today, guys. Have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.